Thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Andrea with the Community Language Cooperative. We're going to practice language justice today. We're going to have simultaneous interpretation in English and in Spanish. And if you are on Zoom, once we turn on the interpretation, you're going to see a globe that is going to come up at the bottom of your screen. You're going to click it and you're going to select your preferred language. If you are bilingual, you don't have to select the language and you can always participate in the language of your heart. Hola a todos, soy Andrea, estoy aquí con la Community Language Cooperative. Vamos a practicar la justicia del lenguaje y tendremos interpretación simultánea en inglés y en español. Una vez que aprendamos la interpretación, si estás en Zoom, vas a ver un globo que va a aparecer en la parte inferior de tu pantalla, donde vas a poder seleccionar tu idioma. I would like to remind everybody in the room to please speak at a conversational pace. I know that we have some presentations today, so speak conversationally. If you're speaking too quickly, I'm going to turn on my camera. I'm going to make this sign. It just means stretch your words so that I can catch up. And also remember to turn on your microphones and speak very close to them. And we can begin interpretation now. Thank you.
Thank you. Welcome, everybody. I'll call to order this work session for May 13th, 2024, and the time 6:04 p.m. And we have all council members present. And our first item tonight is a presentation by University of Denver students on the All for Sheridan survey. Please come on up and introduce yourselves.
Hello, thank you all for your time. I hope you're having a good evening. My name is Audrey.
I'm Maggie.
And we have our teammates Nora and Jackie sitting over here. But we are University of Denver students, like you said, and we have been participating in a year-long group project where we're trying to learn a little bit about community engagement and how to get involved in the community. So that's kind of how we got started and connected to the city of Sheridan. So this past year, we've been doing research and interviewing people throughout the city of Denver, and a local DPS worker kind of caught our attention on the city of Sheridan and suggested we focus in on this city in particular. And so we've been doing research and coming out in the community. We ate breakfast at Mike's Cafe and tried to get a feel of the city of Sheridan. And so for the past few months, we've been surveying citizens, and our main goal today is to present that information to you and kind of understand that not all citizens might want to come up here or also have the means to come up here. So we're really trying to be a bridge to just show what we've gained from our surveying efforts.
Great.
This is what we've been partaking in over our time with this project. So our main kind of area we gathered this data from is through going door to door and talking to citizens. And we have signs out in the community, and then we reached out to these local groups, include schools, churches, community organizations, to get their opinions and see what their thoughts are. And one thing I think our team really wants to focus on is that we are just presenting this data to you, and this is not us trying to interpret it or any way, and just this is a resource that we're trying to get. And we can go to the next slide. Thank you. It's okay. The next one. Perfect. Okay, so this was our first question on our survey. So basically, when we were going door to door and talking to people, we had a survey we were asking them to fill out, and it had quite a few different questions on it, ranging from positive things about the community as well as things they'd like to see improvement on. So this I always think is a good one to start with. How would you rate your sense of community in Sheridan? As you can see, a lot of our results gave a strong sense of community. When talking to people, they mentioned really good relations with their neighbors, as well as enjoying that kind of small town feel that I know you as city council officials and then other organizations are working to create Sheridan as a place that people would like to call home. So this is a great kind of look for that. Another kind of fun one, we asked citizens what their favorite things about the community were. Some big ones we got was that feeling of belonging, as well as the community celebrations. We know we just had that Earth Day festival, and then also kind of the access to nature and parks seemed to be a really highlighted thing that people were enjoying. This is our next question we asked was, do citizens feel like they have the means to come up and talk to city council officials or work in their own local government to kind of for problem solving areas? And this was a little bit more spread across the board. So about 40% said they did feel like they could come and share their ideas. And then we had about 30% that said they didn't really feel that way. And then some people who are conflicted as well.
So then this was kind of a leading question that we asked because at the very start of our project, we wanted to look at the effects of gentrification on early childhood education. So we kind of asked this leading question based off our knowledge of the history of redlining and gerrymandering. So we just wanted to know if the people in the community had a sense of it and like the history of it. So it was pretty split, but a large majority knowing no history, which again, we don't want to interpret the data for you, but just wanted to present it. And then our next question was, what areas would you want to see improvement? So again, these were a lot of the same things that we saw. A lot of positive things were also things that were like, oh, they could still improve. So all areas, parks and rec, traffic monitoring. We got in a lot of different sections from different questions. There was like a few people that were really upset with getting tickets from traffic lights instead of from actual police officers. So that was a big reoccurring one. And then the biggest one was taxes. And then again, kind of a leading question based off of where we got to with the city of Sheridan. What is the perception of nature and housing access in your community? So a large majority said it was good. And then also a large majority said lack of access. And then the question was kind of had two parts. So there was lack of affordable housing and then also the lack of access to nature. So that's where that split up is. And then from that, which I'll get into in a second, they had some suggestions for that. So then basically what we were thinking about putting out as an actual thing to help the community was kind of an all-in-one resource guide with lists of good parks or good places to go for somebody that's just entering the community or who might have been pushed out because of gentrification, as well as sources of affordable housing, things like that, other resources. So we just asked how beneficial that would be, and the results were pretty all over the place. So again, not really sure exactly how to interpret that, but just wanted to present it. And then, do you believe the city council collaborates with the community organizations and stakeholders to address community needs? Also pretty split, but a large majority said no. So again, that's why we just felt the need to kind of be that voice between our ability to go out and canvass in the community and being able to come up here and present it. And then lastly, this was based off of just the question ways to improve moving forward. There were a bunch of things they came up with, but the one that stood up with me the most was to use the abandoned hotel for the unhoused with on-site counseling and rehab, which I thought was an amazing idea. I wouldn't have come up with that myself, but yeah, a big one was more resources. We saw a lot of like revamping the community post-COVID, so bringing back things like the bike rodeos and big community gatherings was something that people said they missed. And then food banks, more victim advocates, free trash pickup, etc. And then we have a link at the bottom for our surveying system with like a link to the Excel sheet that we use, just so you can go through all of it. But yeah, that's basically everything. If you guys have any questions, we'd be happy to answer.
So are you also doing like a paper for this, or is the presentation your final product?
We'll present to our professors and like in front of a large group of people, and that'll be just to see like what impact we made on the community. That'll be the presentation. Okay. Yeah. What
do you feel like you learned from doing this?
I would say mostly that there was a large misconception between originally when we were like, oh, we want to work with DPS, but immediately we found out from our stakeholder that the ways in which gentrification was affecting people was largely in the small communities because they were given such few resources and federal funding compared to DPS because of, I forget what was the exact equation he said, but it was like $7,000 per student in the school district. And obviously a lot of DPS schools have such an insane number, so they got a lot of funding. And for smaller communities like Sheridan with smaller numbers of students, they don't get the funding they deserve. So that was the kind of thing that brought us here.
Okay. Anybody else have questions? Comments?
Was the total amount of people surveyed about 20?
I think it was like 25 something.
I think that's another thing we learned through this process is that you can go out to a ton of people, but not all the time people are willing to share their opinion, which is completely valid. But I think that kind of let us a little bit more learn on the legislative side or what your city council is dealing with. It can be hard to get public feedback.
Yeah, for sure.
That's our experience, I think. It's tough to get people to come share.
Yeah.
Or even to share if we go to them sometimes.
Yeah. Which a lot of the people, which we did like pin flyers to the door or something, expressed in the survey that they were grateful for it and would love to just get mail from like the city of like other surveys or way to connect that where they don't have to like in case they work like later shifts, things like that, if they can't make it to use their voice, things like that.
That's a good observation. Okay.
Mayor, if I made an observation, I can't remember the exact question, but it was something about what what issues do you have with the city? What improvements would you like to see? And
Mhm.
like taxes was the big one. So,
Mhm.
hey, I get that.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah, we all like to pay less taxes. But one of the categories was roads, and it was only 5%.
I know.
Think back to before we did change the trend. What do you think the
Oh, yeah.
percentage would have been on that?
Oh,
I
yeah.
guarantee you it would have been 20-30%
Mhm.
easily. And now it's just, it was barely like at 5%
Well,
of
that is
people
nice
that
to see.
have roads as an issue. Yeah.
Your efforts going.
Yeah,
forward.
exactly.
Yep.
Great.
Do you guys have a hard copy of this by any chance?
We have a spreadsheet that we sent to the city clerk and then
Mhm.
also the presentation.
Okay, Jenna, whenever you get a chance, can I get a better copy? I would like to see what some of the citizens have to say. Yeah, because it's kind of cut off,
Yeah.
so I really can't read it.
Yeah.
I like to see what they're, what they were talking about.
Did you take any demographics, age groups or any of that sort?
Yeah. The main people when I was canvassing, the main people I reached out to was like when the high school was getting out of school. So I talked to a lot of high school students.
Okay.
We didn't do any specific demographic searching though. That would have been a good idea.
Any other questions?
I have a question, Mayor.
Yeah.
What abandoned hotel are they referring to? To put the unhoused with on-site counseling? Do you know what?
Still, I don't know.
I
Who,
don't think they specified
yeah,
in the
they-
response.
they're the ones that said there's an abandoned
Yeah.
hotel?
Yeah.
Maybe it's somewhere that they thought was in Sheridan, but it's not. That would be my guess.
I wonder if they were, I wonder if they. And
Or
I
the
felt
boarding house,
Yes,
maybe?
it's a reference to the boarding house
Yeah.
that is currently boarded up and closed.
Uh-huh.
Because I think some people called that the hotel
Okay.
and things, but
Yeah.
it was a boarding house.
Uh-huh.
And it is, yeah, abandoned and boarded up. I
Uh-huh.
wonder if that was what the
That
reference
could
was.
be, yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm. Okay.
Thank you.
Well, thank you for your interest in our
course.
community and for taking your time here. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much for letting us present. We really
we-
appreciate it.
Yeah, greatly appreciate it.
Yeah,
and all
and
you're
good luck
doing.
with your other presentation.
Thank you so
Yeah.
much.
Okay. Next, we get an update from staff on routes in Sheridan. At least you only have to do it once. You don't have to go back to class or anything.
I don't. I did my time. Well, good evening. Thanks for having me. I'm a little congested, so sorry about that. I hope you got a chance to read the memo. That's where all the good deets are.
Mhm.
I'm going to keep it kind of brief and just take time for questions. So start with this lovely opening slide. So I think you all received the email that went out to participants, but I just want to kind of reiterate this. So, year 2, Roots in Sheridan, got our name now, a real program. This program was identified both in the 2024 and 2015 comprehensive plan, as well as again in the Sheridan Sustainability Plan. This year we planted on 30 properties. We engaged over 40 residents and we got 93 new trees in the community. So, that's per capita, it's a pretty big accomplishment. So be proud of yourself. I feel proud to be a part of this. So just a little background, like I said, identified in 2 comprehensive plans. We initially worked with the Colorado Tree Coalition to kind of create the structure of the program. Very gracious for those efforts on with that nonprofit. In our kind of new adult version of Roots in Sheridan, we work with our neighboring foresters. So we work with the city of Littleton, the city of Inglewood, and South Suburban Parks and Recs. So we're fostering new relationships with foresters that understand our urban problems and can help us guide us through those issues. So I'll kind of get into just some specifics. Yeah. So everyone likes the tree photo. So here
Yeah.
we are. As we've probably talked about in previous memos, a healthy urban forest is diverse. It's diverse in age. So that's why we've been doing it for 2 years now. It's diverse in species, which is why the redbud will not be coming back next year. It's a very popular tree. So I just want to tell you what was offered, just a friendly reminder. So left to right, top to bottom. So Pear Cleveland Select, it's a beautiful white flower in the spring, the Eastern Redbud. big tooth maple. We had two maple species this year, a big one and a little one. The hackberry, which is a hardy Colorado tree. That's an actual Colorado tree. Not a lot of those that you can actually say. And then the sensation box elder maple. And I always get them confused. I think the big tooth is the little one, and then the box elder, because that's not confusing for everyone.
Yeah.
You know, anyone that hasn't participated should know, you know, these are number 7 trees. So they're about 5-gallon bucket size. They're 6 to 8 feet tall, about 1.5 inches around. So the industry would call it establish ready. So 2 to 3 years of heavy watering, you got a nice healthy tree. We did planting days this year on the 19th and 20th. I don't know what the next slide is, so let's check it out. Oh yeah. So we did our tree planting training again, and we were very gracious to host Preston from the Park People. So the Park People is the big nonprofit in Denver that does a similar program to what we do here in Sheridan. So we're getting a little bit of their attention now too. So he was a very nice man and very knowledgeable on trees. So these are just some photos of the volunteers digging our new tree in the front lawn. So back to the program on the planting days. So over 90 trees planted, 93 to be specific. I think maybe 10 in the parks. I'm not sure on that number. I should have had that number for you. But I think the thing to notice here, well, let's do the next one. Let's just keep it going. Ooh, that's a good action shot. Look, it's Mel. That's our, big harvest. So that was nice to see all those trees. But 75% of participants took advantage of the tree planting services. It was the same number as last year. So it's well received. I think that, it breaks down a barrier to give people the access, whether it's they don't have the time, they don't have the energy, whatever it is, we don't ask those questions. We just want to help people get them in the ground. Well, this is such a great slide, but we will go to the next one. This one's probably a little difficult to see, so maybe on your laptop. But we did our follow-up survey, which was in that email sent to you. And we just asked some pretty basic questions. We didn't get a lot of responses, honestly. Oh, you don't have that in your packet. I'm so sorry. I can certainly get you a copy of that. We asked, how much, it was very similar to last year. How much would you be willing to pay for a program like this? We saw anywhere from $25, which was the price this year, up $5 from last year, all the way up to $100.
Wow.
So I think people really recognize the value of this program, the value that you're getting. I would remind you that these trees, if you were to go buy one as an individual, it's $150. So it's quite the cost savings, and no one's going to plant it for you. So I am kind of inferring the data for you that I think they like it. High marks on overall, program. And then, the tree planting assistance, that lines up with the raw calculation that I did on the spreadsheet. I'm gonna go to the next one, Reagan. Just some feedback for you from your residents. This is always the best part, is to hear these. I got a specific shout out on one, which made me feel really happy, but this is your work, and we appreciate what you're doing to support it. I don't have much else. Again, sorry, I'm kind of congested, but I am happy to answer any questions, and just want to say thank you for the opportunity to start this.
Thank you. Thanks for keeping it going and growing it. We appreciate that,
Yeah.
so to speak, growing it. I didn't mean to.
Well, it's a
make
good tree
pun,
fund.
but
Like a tree fund.
Yeah, it's great. Great to see everybody taking advantage of it, and that the people who participate seem to really love it. And I think I agree that, what we do as far as the planting is really unique. Yeah.
It is. There's no one, I don't even think Denver offers that. I think
Yeah.
they have certain avenues that they're offering, but I think we're really offering the most support.
Yeah, and that, we can make it available for people who either physically have issues with doing that, or maybe just don't have the knowledge of how to do it,
Absolutely. I would mention, and it's in the memo, but I would mention that we were kind of inspired by the South Metro Land Conservancy's generous contribution to the program this year. And we added an option for a donate to your neighbor. We received 2, but hey, we'll take it. And it was really nice. We were able to give away some trees this year. So Groundwork Denver, as the kind of nonprofit coordinator identified 5 residents who committed to taking care of some trees and said finances were the barrier. So we were able to do that too.
Do you have questions for Ari?
I just think it's great. I'm glad I had a chance to participate this year.
Thank
my,
you.
my little tree looks great.
Good.
It's getting little sprouts right now.
Do you have your rain barrel so you can water it?
So I have one rain barrel. One of them froze and expanded. So I'll replace that one this year.
Excellent.
Highly recommend that program if you guys don't already have them. Rain barrels in your yard.
Mayor, if I may, before
Yeah,
Ari said,
ahead.
first I want to commend Ari and his efforts on this. It's a lot of work that he went through and a very good job that he did on that, as well as other staff that were involved with that. So congratulations to them on a great program. Second year and they're already having success like that. So it's fantastic. What was I gonna say? We are with this only being a second year program. One of the things that we're looking at doing is we're trying to find the sweet spot on how this moves forward. How do we keep it sustainable moving forward? With a consideration of a number of things. One, it's actually quite onerous on staff time. And so we're looking at, all right, is that sustainable? Do we, or do we look at maybe maybe not quite as many trees, or, we're trying to find what that sweet spot is. So I would say to council that, success isn't just measured on, well, next year we do 200 trees, because that's not going to happen, right? It can't happen. We just don't have the wherewithal to do that. But we are going to work through there, and that's why we're looking at the data and the metrics on this. Okay, what's our sweet spot going to be as far as work? And when we compare ourselves on a per capita basis, we're doing more than almost anybody around us. And when one of the things that I didn't realize when I read through Ari's report was that at our price point, $25, right? I think Inglewood was at $35 and Centennial was at like 70 something, or
Littleton. but yeah.
Littleton was at 70 or $75. So we're doing that. And as Ari mentioned, I think that through the discussions with participants, that there is some there's some room there to look at the price that we charge too, was still not chasing people off and still making it economical for them and accomplishing what we want to accomplish with the canopy itself. So congratulations, great job. We still have some ways to go on this, and we'll be making adjustments as we go every year along on this. So
Right, because thank you. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
no, you're good. Thank you.
I mean, I like Roots and Sheridan. As far as looking towards the future, how many trees can go in Sheridan before we're capped out? You know what I mean? And then Roots and Sheridan, maybe we should probably start thinking about something else more, maybe community garden or, something like that, perhaps.
Yeah, I would say that, we are kind of pursuing that through different program avenues right now, but could certainly be kind of encompassed under this program. I think what I see where the funding is available through grants and things right now is the next step would be like removal, because you plant trees and then you get rid of the circle of life, So, I can't unsee it now when I look out the windows. I'm like, oh, that one needs a little love. But I think absolutely there is a cap. We want to be strategic about where things are being placed so that we get maximum benefits for our residents.
Right.
But we will cap out at some point.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Hope
Thank
you
you.
feel a little better.
Thank you.
Okay. Next up, we have the sustainability program review. Line up, Mel.
That was a perfect transition
It
from the
is.
tree program.
Like, what else are we doing?
Oh, well, thank you, Mayor. Thank you, City Council members. Mel England, Sustainability Program Manager. And I'm here really with the awesome role of going over the success of the sustainability program thus far. And so for a little bit of background, the City of Sheridan and Englewood joined in an intergovernmental agreement for my position back in 2023. So I do 1 day a week at the City of Sheridan and 1 day a week at the City of Englewood. And I will just say I've been so floored with how much work is able to be done in just 1 day a week. And I want to say the only reason that's possible is because city staff has been absolutely amazing to work with. City leadership has been amazing to work with. I always joke that Ari does like half my job just with EV chargers and the tree program. So, but I wanted to start with just tonight, just going over a sample of the accomplishments thus far, going over kind of what's in the pipeline, and then to open it up for any questions or comments. So next slide, please. So starting off with something that I think we're all should be familiar with is completing the sustainability plan, which was adopted in September 2023. This really was a community effort. We worked with Sheridan Rising Together for Equity. We talked with all the key kind of city stakeholders. We held an open sustainability plan open house to get feedback from folks. And we've really just been hitting the ground running, trying to implement all those projects within there thus far. And then I also want to say this plan is in both English and Spanish for accessibility, and anyone can find it on the website. The next one I want to highlight, which I know it's really hard to see, is the City of Sheridan. We completed both our community-wide and municipal greenhouse gas inventory. This was something in the sustainability plan. This can also be found online if you want to dig into it more. And this makes me really excited. So as you see, the commercial sector is going to be that biggest emissions. There's nothing wrong with that. We have a healthy business sector. That's a good thing. But as a sustainability professional, when I look at that, I get excited because emissions usually mean big energy savings. So that's all electricity, that's all natural gas use. When you help a business reduce that, you're helping them save money at the same time. And I'm going to touch a little bit more on that in the next few slides coming up too. So then next slide, please. And so another huge piece of my role is community engagement. Just like any program, if you're not engaging with the community, you're not going to see the success that you want to see. So kind of that low hanging fruit right when I started was we did a sustainability kind of overhaul for the website. People can go there, see what the projects that we're working on, the status of those projects, and then also helpful resources on there. And that gets updated every quarter. And then we also do a monthly contribution to the e-newsletter for the City of Sheridan, doing some kind of sustainability update for folks. And then the last one for community engagement that I wanted to highlight is I really try to make it a key effort to go to any event I can to get in front of folks to say, what do you want to see in Sheridan for sustainability or really for anything? So some of the highlights there was Sheridan Celebrates, the Roots in Sheridan event, which you can barely see, but I'm in that picture over there. The EV ride and electric vehicle ride and drive, which we have a great picture of the mayor in one of the EVs. And then finally, the Earth Day Parkapalooza, which I was actually able to connect with 2 Sheridan business owners to talk about our future green business program, which I'm going to talk about in a little bit. Another accomplishment that we have is entering into the energy performance audit, which I know Year Out came a little bit ago to kind of walk through that whole process. So that program helps accomplish and or advance 3 projects within our sustainability plan, which is great. But not only that, it also helps us find very large funding. So we have applied in partnership with them for a public building electrification grant for $750,000 to help electrify the buildings and also update equipment. And one big equipment piece that we have is HVAC that is past its useful life. That is a huge, huge charge. So if we get this grant, it'll almost way over 50% cover it. And we find out about that at the end of this month, actually. So that would be really huge. And then some other ones to highlight. So we joined the cities of Englewood and Littleton in the A1 Organics leaf drop-off. This is, I think, really where that partnership between Englewood and Sheridan comes in really strong. Andrew's the one that brought it up to me. He's like, I don't know why we're not part of this program. A1 Organics is literally in Sheridan. I was like, I got it, don't worry. And it took 2 seconds and we were part of it. So that was a fast, easy win, which I love. And then the last accomplishment I wanted to highlight is the polystyrene alternative grant for small businesses. It's kind of unfortunate because it says Denver and Englewood, but Sheridan's listed in there. They just don't have it in the subcontext. But essentially the state banned polystyrene or styrofoam as everyone knows it. And a lot of small communities or even larger communities really weren't helping small businesses with that transition. Even though banning styrofoam is a great win for the environment, it can be really hard for small businesses because styrofoam is very cheap. So we kind of reached out to the business community, said, what can we do to help you the most? And it should be no shocker that financial came in the top. So we launched this grant to help them. And that's why we were highlighted, because we were one of the few communities to actually help small businesses during this transition. So I thought that was a huge win. And then next slide, please. So now the projects that are in the pipeline, which I find all of these really exciting. The first one is starting hopefully this month, maybe next month. I never like putting deadlines on projects. They always move. Is an air monitor rental program in partnership with Sheridan Library. So Denver Metro, not just Sheridan, all of Denver Metro, we are the 6th worst in ozone pollution, really bad air pollution. So one thing that we wanted to do was give residents a free air monitor so they can see, is their indoor air quality healthy? Is their outdoor air quality healthy? And this one does both indoor and outdoor. But not only that, you don't want to give people scary information and say, there you go. We partnered it with an actionable next step sheet. So if they find really bad indoor air quality, they can look at this sheet and make actionable steps for themselves going forward. There are so many good free programs folks can take advantage of. So we're trying to pair it with that too. The other one I want to highlight is the waste characterization study. I know this was an update a while back that we had been chosen for the study, but for our new city council members, essentially the cities of Englewood, Sheridan, Centennial, and Littleton did a regional application to the state for a waste characterization study. And in so many words, it's essentially just they go out and do a really deep dive into what waste is being sent to the landfill for different communities. So there's going to be a few folks out there on the contractor side at a landfill, literally hand sorting through everything, which I might volunteer for one day, I might not, we'll see. But then they tell you your community of like, you have high organics, you have high cardboard, so you can actually make programs that specifically help your community instead of kind of just guessing and throwing money at random spots. And I will say this is completely free. The state's paying for everything. No city's paying even a penny for it. And the one thing I want to highlight with that is, so it's a 2-year process. It's really long. They get really into the weeds. And the next step is a community engagement piece so that you're going to see mailers come to your door, know that it's absolutely legitimate. And they're really just trying to get feedback from folks on what are your feelings about recycling? What are your feelings about composting? They really want to get that feedback from each community. And then the final one that I am most excited about is this Green Business Program. So this is a partnership with the city of Englewood, and it's launching June 3rd. Well, it's officially launched, but it will actually have a person in place to carry it out June 3rd. And this is a regional extension of the state's Colorado Green Business Network. This is a completely free program for Sheridan and Englewood businesses to take advantage of. They get this free one-on-one technical assistance from someone. They get address if they want to do energy use reduction, waste reduction, really anything that falls under the very broad veil of sustainability, they can help them with. And they can also choose to get recognized by the state. It's a really wonderful program. The state has done this for a few years and it's really, really great. So I'm excited that the position, which is also going to be shared with Englewood and Sheridan, they're starting June 3rd, and this position is 100% funded by plastic bag fee funds. We really wanted to find a way to, even though businesses don't like being taxed, that revenue to go right back to them of helping them. And the final thing I wanted to say with that program, the state ran some data, and the average saving for a program, for a business that goes through this program, is about $1,300 a year. And again, it's completely free. They could decide to opt out or keep going with it. So we think it's going to be a really great way to kind of bring people together, bring businesses together to co-learn, and have this dual benefit. So that wraps things up on my end. I'm happy to answer any questions or yeah. Yes.
With the plastic bags, they've pretty much just phased them out. So where's that revenue going to come from after that?
That's a great question. So the paper bags that are there are still the 10%.
Okay.
And so restaurants can still absolutely have plastic bags. That's a safety hazard. So if you see a restaurant having it, that's completely in compliance.
Has there been a big change in revenue from that program after going from plastic to paper?
That is a great question. I'm not sure as of yet. I know both Englewood and Sheridan, I think, had a really big influx of the fundings, which was great. We are very much expecting that to plummet off going forward. But we'll take any 10-cent funds we can get.
Good questions? Anything that you've been looking forward to in the sustainability plan that you're wondering, where is it? No? Okay. I guess we think you're doing well then. I think you're doing great.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Oh, I did have a question. So you had the greenhouse gas targets. Can you tell me a little bit more about how we actually, or the measures of where we're at now, I guess?
Yes,
So how
we
did
don't
you
have
get
targets
those?
yet. So I'm the one that does all of them. So there's a nonprofit called ICLEI, and they have this tool called ClearPath, and they make it very easy to put in everything. It's what a majority, if not all, of local governments use to do their greenhouse gas. And your greenhouse gas inventory is going to be like a snapshot. You're not going to get like down to the 1 metric ton of everything. But say for the commercial and residential energy, Xcel Energy each year comes out with a community energy report for every single community, and it'll tell you how much kilowatt hours your residents are using, how much natural gas, and how much your businesses are. So they make that really easy. I will say the hardest data, what held it up the longest, was getting wastewater and water data, mainly wastewater. They were like, we don't know if we have a greenhouse gas inventory. So it took like a really long time to find that. But yeah, essentially it's getting data from third parties, and then you input this into the calculator and it'll tell you kind of how much. And then for the transportation data, that's a little bit different. That goes from, it's called Google Environmental Insight Explorer. And so we used it for Englewood for our data. Sheridan actually is too small to have its own EIE data. So what we did, we parsed out Englewood's based on Sheridan's size. So we scaled down.
So just estimated ours based on Englewood. Okay. Cool. Yeah, I was curious because I always thought that would be a really big hurdle for such a small community to be able to figure that out.
It depends on how in the weeds you want to go. Like City of Boulder is looking at like doing the greenhouse gas of all the materials that come into their building. Like that's very in the weeds, and the standard greenhouse gas is just looking at that high level.
Okay. And so then over time, you'll look at those same sources again and see if you're making a difference or not.
And now I know the people to bug. So the next time I do it, I can be like, I know you have this data.
Yeah. Great. Well, that's really cool. Okay. Anybody else have other questions?
Well, thank you.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Okay. We'll move on to our review of agenda items for tonight. City Manager, you have that? And some comments?
Thank you, Mayor. We've got one action item on your agenda for your regular meeting and one action item on your agenda for the Sheridan Redevelopment Agency meeting. For the regular meeting, we have, and it's perfect timing, Mel was here. So we have an amendment to our IGA with Englewood with regards to Mel's position with the sustainability coordinator. The main takeaways for this amendment is that it will be adjusting the costs that we will share with Englewood on that. Englewood recently went through, as we did, went through a class and comp study, and through that process determined that this position was due for some adjustment. So that's primarily what you see in the amendment with the IGA. Again, this is an IGA between the two cities. We both have to agree to this. The Englewood City Council considered this last week. Was that right, Andrew? Mel? Yeah, they considered it last week, and I think they have to go 2 readings on it, but they passed it unanimously, and then now that is before us this evening for your consideration. But that's it. I think the other main pieces that We build in an inflation percentage in there that each year the wages can be adjusted upwards of 5% maximum each year, but both cities have to agree to that in writing. So one city can't unilaterally raise the wages without the other city's consideration. I think that is the main issues on the IGA that's before you in the regular council meeting. In the SRA meeting, we're looking at a budget amendment to the SRA budget. Excuse me. And this has primarily to do with debt service through the SRA. It's a good problem and a good amendment to have. We realized more revenue last year than we had budgeted for in the SRA. We had already amended that budget once last year to accommodate additional revenues, and now we're finding we need to do amend it once again. Again, for a good problem for having too much revenue. No, I shouldn't say too much. More, you never have too much. We had more revenue than we budgeted for. So we need to make those budget amendments. And again, this is to the 2023 budget. Where, as you know, Teresa's working with our auditors and going through those audit things. We need to have those things in places in order to complete the audit process. But they are, again, good problem. Everything because as you guys are aware, and our new council members that haven't been through a budget process with Teresa and I, we're very conservative when we budget. So these are the kind of problems that we want to have. We want to have a conservative estimate on our revenues and then be able to come back later in the year and tell you, hey, we've got more money than we budgeted for. And that's what the result is. So really the other takeaway from this, two things that are maybe just a little odd. When we budget for sales tax audit revenue, we usually don't put any revenue in there. We'll usually stick a zero in there because I don't want to predict what an audit's going to produce out of one of the area's businesses. So we don't want to guess at what that is. We just stick zeros in there and then we amend the budget afterwards. So that's pretty normal. The other thing, what was the other one I was going to touch on? Oh, contingency. And I agree with Teresa on this. She's going to, we had a zero contingency built into this budget at all. And after now, we've already amended it a few times. We're going to build in a contingency. So she wants to build in a $50,000 contingency, which I agree. And then that keeps us from having to come through and amend it like that. We'll probably still have to come back maybe at one point. You know, I would say, you know, we usually amend each budget once, right? Usually at the end of the year. I think if we have this contingency in that'll get us back to more of a normal schedule of considering a budget amendment at the end of the year, at the end of the budget year. So that's the other piece in there is building that contingency in there. And this budget can accommodate it with no problem whatsoever. So those are the two main items for your consideration in the two meetings that we have tonight, Mayor.
Great.
That's it on that. Any questions?
Hey, I have one. Does Inglewood commit to the same amount of you know, the payments that we make to the sustainability program?
Their payments are higher. So they pay for their payments are, and I couldn't say it off the top of my head right now, Jay, what they are, but they are higher. Yeah, proportionally. We did it based on oh gosh, I can't remember. Mel, do you remember, or Andrew? Thank you. Okay.
Are you the only employee?
Great. Any other questions on tonight's agenda items? Okay, we've got time. Do we want to have your manager report now?
Yeah, it won't take long. I don't have
Yeah.
much of a report.
Okay.
I'm sorry. Let me get there. Okay, while the SRA budget is good news, this one I'm going to share with you is not good news, but it's really beyond our control. We had a meeting a week or so ago with our insurance company, SRA, and they are busy making the rounds with all their members in Colorado, letting them know that there are going to be rate hikes coming. And I anticipate it's going to be fairly significant, upwards around 20% rate hikes. Number of factors go into this. and this is Colorado wide. So, the hailstorms that we've had, some significant hailstorms in the past couple of years, one particularly last year, was incredibly impactful to their bottom line with the insurers. Some of the settlements that some of the members have had with regards to police cases, police violence cases, those have been impactful to their bottom line. And then wildfires, those have been impactful to the bottom line. I think those were the biggies that they shared right there. And then there's been the insurance pools have bad years, and they've had not the greatest couple of years. They're getting killed on the reinsurance market, so the reinsurers will not come in from out of state. A lot of them are from California and other. They see what's happening with the hail damage, the fires, the police verdicts, and the things that have gone against a lot of the policyholders here with them in their rates on the reinsurance market have made it very, very difficult on SRSA. So they're going around right now meeting with everybody, just letting you know that's going to be coming. Now, we won't see that until budget time. We'll have a better estimate of what we'll be talking about. Hopefully it's less than a 20% bump. Usually what we see from SRSA more along the lines of somewhere in single digits each year, if that, fairly steady or single digits, 5-7% types of increases. So this would be rather significant for them and a little out of the ordinary. But the other things that we will be working on is through our audit process with our carrier. They come and do audits of our safety protocols, of our property, all those kind of things. And if we take certain measures with, say, trainings that we can do around safety, building improvements so we can make things safer, things along those lines, and we get credits. And we can apply those credits to our premiums when we have to pay that and get credit on that. So we're doing as much as we can to score well on those audits, so that we get credits when we can. We kind of fell off for a little bit, and I think we've been doing better these past couple of years and getting back up where we used to be. So we'll continue to do that to try and do what we can on our end for keeping those costs down as much as we can. So that's the SRSA update. Not great news, but not terribly unanticipated either. We will be coming forward, and we'll start working on this and work through it next month, is that our contract with Republic Services for our trash collection is coming due. This has each been 5-year contracts, a series of 5-year contracts. So this will be beginning on our third 5-year contract with Republic. One of the biggest changes that we'll see is that there will no longer be any cost caps on their fees. So what we currently have and have had for the last 10 years has been a 3% cap on their revenue collections. So we have a formula that the rates are based on. Initially, well, the formula we're doing right now is a kind of a version of the Denver Boulder CPI with some adjustments that are made with that. But the new rate will be based on a index that's on trash, sewer, and a third one. I can't remember what it is. Hopefully, and what the folks from Republic are telling me is it's less volatile from a year-to-year basis. So we should be able to plan more, I guess, with a little more confidence on what the rates we anticipate moving forward. But they're not renewing any of their contracts with any caps at all. So we had enjoyed a 3% cap for the last 10 years, which has been great. Honestly, and I was telling the mayor before the meeting, I think we've only bumped up against that cap a few times over, say, the past 10 years. So generally, we've seen right around 2 to 3% increases every year. I can guarantee our rates are still way below. I shared our rates with Inglewood, and they've been trying to in Littleton also been trying to do things with looking at getting a contracted trash service for their citizens. They couldn't believe what our rates are. They just couldn't believe it. That's how good they are compared to everybody else. So we've had a good run with 3% caps and that. I don't see that this is going to make things run rampant, but you know, it might be more of a norm that we see 3 to 4 to 5% increases each year rather than 1 to 2 to 3% increases. Not huge, but it's going to be a little bit more most likely. As part of that, though, I'm trying to negotiate with them that we get some additional benefit out of that. Such things as getting more roll-offs for our bulk cleanup days. Right now, we have, I think, 3 that are in. We get 3 or 4 for free. I can't remember. 3 for free, and we usually we use 10, 11, 12 or so. And so maybe getting some more of those that we don't have to pay for, so free on that. Looking at the possibility for some more curbside collections, and getting some of that done so we don't have to just rely on bulk, maybe some more e-recycling. So some other things along those lines. So we get to see, while we are going to lose the benefit of the cap, maybe we get some other things as part of that as well. We'll schedule some work session time in June to go over that and then bring forward an amendment to the contract for your consideration, probably at the second meeting in June would be my plan on that. I'm not recommending at this time that we go out for any type of an RFP on this contract, and it's the same reason that we didn't do it the last time. What it basically boils down to is if you issue an RFP and a contract of our scope, there are 2 companies in Colorado that can do it. There's Waste Management and there's Republic Services. Those are the only 2 that can handle it at a reasonable rate level. Yeah. So 5 years ago, I talked to the folks at Waste Management. I said, look, if I put out an RFP, will you guys respond? And they said no, that it wasn't worth their time. There were a number of reasons, but they weren't interested in submitting on a new RFP for that. What that does is if you only get one response and the only response you're going to get is from Republic, that puts us in a very bad, very poor negotiating stance because they know they don't have any competition. And you're asking them to come to you with a whole new proposal, a brand new proposal. Forget the contract we already have, all that kind of stuff. It's right back to the bargaining table at square one. And I don't think we come out very well with that. Right now, they're looking at willing to make incremental types of changes. If we went RFP and they came out, it would be wholesale types of changes. So that's why I'm recommending we don't do an RFP. It's the same reason why I recommend we didn't do it last year. I don't see that there's anybody out there that can give us a better deal. And there's nobody inclined to right now. So that's the rationale behind that. So we'll look forward to doing that next month. Last thing I had is that one of our former council members, the former mayors, came and talked at one of our meetings about the trees that were in Chase Park, and I will say, Ari got it taken care of like that. So the trees, the offending trees at Chase Park were immediately replanted in a more advantageous location at that park. So thank you, Ari.
Yeah, really quick.
There you go.
Yeah, because I went over there, and the trees, yeah, it was really fast. Less than a week. Yeah, I went over there and hopped out the car, and some people were startled. They're like, well, what's going on? They thought I was gonna grab their kid or something. I said, no, I just came to see if the trees were moved.
They probably looked even weirder.
Yeah.
This guy's looking for moving trees, man. I don't know.
No, but you know what? They actually noticed as well.
Oh, did they?
Yeah, because they said that the trees were there and it was awkward that they were there.
Yeah.
But they did get moved. Thank you.
That's great. That's all I have, Mayor, but I'm happy to answer any questions.
Okay. Anybody else have any questions right now?
I guess I just have,
I do have one more thing.
Oh,
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Jay,
Yeah.
please.
I'm happy to wait.
Oh, this will take me a minute. So go ahead.
So with a median income of, around $50,000, right? How long can Sheridan residents sustain, inflation, everything inflating, 20% for insurance or 5% for trash pickup? How long can that last?
I don't have an answer for you on that. It's without a doubt a challenge. I think if you're talking specifically around trash, I would say that our program has made it infinitely more affordable to people here than if we did not have it. Again, I base that on the rates that I see other people in other cities that are paying. And our folks here have not had to bear the brunt of the rate increases that their neighbors in neighboring cities have had. So in that aspect on trash, we've done them a huge favor. They've very much benefited from that. On your larger point, yeah, I mean, it absolutely is a challenge for everybody. And we try and be mindful of that, you know, at the city level and do what we can to keep maintaining service levels without asking, you know, we haven't asked for, other than the tax increase, the property tax increase for the roads, we haven't asked our citizens for a tax increase since I've been here. So only one time have we asked them for a tax increase in the last at least 12, 13 years I've been here. And before that, I'm not sure when the last one was that we went. So we're trying to be really mindful to doing what we can with what the taxpayers have allocated for us, and trying to be mindful of that. But it's a valid point, and you know, I don't have a good answer for you. Yeah,
I'm glad the city had our backs on the trash issue, and I mean, it's amazing to see how much more expensive everything is getting really fast.
Oh, without a doubt, and COVID didn't help, and we're still seeing the impacts of COVID, and everybody is in a number of different areas. So that has really been impactful to everybody, and the hangover from COVID.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, I don't have a better answer for you.
that's right.
The last thing, and I forgot on this, last week was National Public Service Gratitude Week. What is it called? Public Service, Public
Appreciation.
Public Service Appreciation. Thank you. Let's look for that. Public Service Appreciation. So for our council, and I'll hand these out to you here in just a sec. We have a gift card to Starbucks. Thank you for your public service. We got one for every city employee.
Oh, good. I was
So-
going to say, because I think of you all as the
No,
public servants.
they
not
got theirs last week. They got theirs last week. They all got to go to Starbucks on the city last week. But I have these here for you guys as well because you work hard for the city. So thank you for your service as well.
Thank you.
Now I'm
Appreciate it.
done, Mayor.
Okay, perfect timing, because we can end this meeting. We'll end the work session at 7 o'clock. And
A las 7.
we'll do a reintroduction from our interpreter for the regular meeting.
Oh. Thank you. I continued interpreting. I didn't notice that it was over. Hi, everybody. I'm Andrea with the Community Language Cooperative. We're going to be practicing language justice. We're going to have simultaneous interpretation in English and in Spanish. If you're on Zoom, once we turn on the interpretation, you're going to see a globe that is going to show up at the bottom of your screen. Please make sure that you click it and select your preferred language. Hola a todos, soy Andrea, estoy aquí con la Community Language Cooperative. Vamos a practicar la justicia del lenguaje el día de hoy y tendremos interpretación simultánea en inglés y en español. Si estás en Zoom, una vez que aprendamos la interpretación, vas a ver un globo que va a aparecer en la parte inferior de tu pantalla, donde vas a poder seleccionar tu idioma. And we can begin interpretation now.
Thank you. Welcome, everybody, to the regular meeting. We'll get everybody logged into our software here.
Yeah, I was gonna say, you guys don't have to stay. I see y'all was looking at each other like,
But it's so fascinating.
Yeah.
No,
Thank
thank
you.
you. Bye.
Thank you guys so much. Thank you.
Okay. Hey, can we go? Can we go? All right, I'll call to order the regular meeting of the Sheridan City Council for May 13th, 2024. The time is 7:02 p.m. Can we have roll call, please? Look at that, we got all the pictures right now, too. That's amazing.
Reagan and I were busy testing.
Yeah. Do you guys even see that? Do you see the pictures, or is it just me?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Looks good.
We need to get your.
All right, we have all members present. Can we please rise for the invocation followed by the Pledge of Allegiance?
Lord of the universe, we acknowledge your power and your expectation that we be of service to those who have placed their trust in us. Let us renew our obligation to fulfill that expectation, just as the return of spring renews growth in the world around us with a new commitment to help others in our community, our nation, and our world. With the influence and responsibility that we as leaders in this place most certainly have, let us always remember that these are a blessing from you, that charity is more fulfilling than decadence, and the golden rule is a much richer yardstick than any privilege. Amen.
Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Have any changes to the agenda?
No changes to the agenda.
Thank you. All right. Next, we have staff reports. Do you have anything for us, City Clerk?
Just a couple of items. First one is Reagan and I are headed off for some more training. So we are going to the International Institute of Municipal Clerks. We are gone the 17th through the 24th.
Great. Where are you going?
We are going to Calgary this
Cool.
year. Yeah.
I was going to say
First-
international. Are you going to go somewhere international?
This is the first time it's actually been out of the United States for me. So it's exciting.
Cool. Got your passports?
We did. Yeah. We're all ready to go.
Awesome.
Next thing, if you're wanting to attend CML, you need to get with me so we can get your classes registered. So if you want to do it yourself, we can always reimburse you with a check, or get with me and I can put it on my credit card. So just let me know. And then last thing is to check your mailboxes because there's stuff in them. And I've printed out calendars. My apologies that you didn't have those.
That's okay. I don't know why I didn't think to just ask, but anyway. Yeah.
They're in there now. And that is all I have.
Okay. City Attorney, do you have anything for us?
Good evening, everybody. Nothing to report.
All right. Well, thank you for being here.
Thank you.
You have anything else, City Manager? Or
Nothing at this time, Mayor, but happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Chief?
Just have one thing today. I wanted to take a few minutes to introduce our new commander, Jimmy Martinez, and then actually I'd like him to maybe stand up and just give a little recap of his history, but keep it brief, please. Thank you. Go ahead and go to the mic.
He says that like he's heard you speak before or something. Yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate that. First of all, I want to thank Chief Martinez for giving me the opportunity to take this position. And I can't even begin to tell you how thrilled I am. I'm very excited to work with each and every one of you and looking forward to the opportunity. And I do consider it an opportunity. So just a little bit about myself, but I retired from Denver Police after 42 years. I was retired for 5 days, and here I am. That's just part of me and who I am, the type of person that I am. I just love to work. I love the profession. Of those 42 years, I've worked basically geographically every place in the city. Multitude of special units. I was in the gang unit 5 different times, 3 different ranks. I was a command officer for 28 years. For some folks, that's an entire career right there, but I did that for, like I said, 28 years. I have a bachelor's degree in public safety, and I'm a graduate of the FBI National Academy. And again, I'm just so happy to be here. I'm very, very excited about it. Thrilled to work with all of you. Again, thank you for the opportunity. Want to let you know if I can be of any assistance to you, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. I'll be overseeing the operations side of the police department. And I'm looking for the opportunity to take the things that I learned over 42 years and to be able to share them with the officers and to really help the chief in as his vision is the pursuit of excellence. And that's exactly what it is. And very, very excited about it. On a personal note, the chief always gives me grief about this, but between my wife and I, we have 13 children.
Oh, my gosh.
And I have two biological sons, and one of them is a Denver police officer. He's also a former United States Marine. One of my three stepchildren, one of them is also a U.S. Marine, and he is an Evans police officer. So we have two police officers there. After our biological kids grew up and moved out, we went on to adopt 8 others. We have 6 that we adopted from Africa. We have 2 that we adopted from China. One has significant special needs. And so my range is from 36 down to 10. So basically, I've spent the last 36 years of my life parenting, and I'm getting a little tired of it. But all kidding aside, children are a blessing, and I truly look at them as a gift from God. And even though as a matter of fact, I was telling the chief this tonight, but I'd like to take the credit for it. But my wife was the driving force behind it. But nonetheless, they're quite a blessing, and consider ourselves very fortunate to have them in our lives. So anybody have any questions of me? Anything I can answer?
It's pretty
Sounds like
amazing.
you have a pretty boring life.
Yeah. Boring.
Oh,
Yeah.
no.
I was gonna say, you must be a pretty patient person.
Well, that's one thing I've learned over the years. Matter of fact, it's funny you should mention that. My oldest son, he saw me interacting with the 2 little ones, and they were probably about 8 or 9 at that time.
Mhm.
He looks at me and says, "Where did you get all this patience from?" And I got to
Over
thinking back.
time, yeah.
Oh yeah, and I got to thinking back. It's like, yeah, I remember when you were growing up, I had no patience, and now that I've, like I said, 13 of them later on, you just have to develop that. Otherwise, you will lose your mind.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
Well, welcome. Thank you for being here.
thank you again. I
Glad to have you.
appreciate it.
We
I
appreciate the
it.
chief keeps bringing in good recruits for us.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It was
other
a
questions?
competitive process, and Jimmy came out on top, pretty overwhelmingly. So,
Mhm.
and had to do him a favor because with all those children, he wants to keep working. So.
Oh, my gosh.
Matter of fact, I had to laugh because he asked me, he said, after 42 years, he says, "How long do you think you're going to work?"
Wow.
I said, "Well, personal goal would be to do another 8 years. That way I'd have at least 50 years in law enforcement." And he looks at me and goes, "I don't think you're going to pass our psychological."
That was a little suspect there.
Well, again, thank you, everybody. I appreciate it. I mean that seriously, do not hesitate to reach out to me. And again, I look forward to working with everybody. So thank you and have a good evening.
Thank you and
Thank you.
welcome.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jim.
Yeah.
Ah. Okay. Anything else, chief? Are you good?
That's all. Thank
All
you.
right. That's pretty good news there.
Thank you.
All right, we have the minutes of the regular city council meeting of April 22nd, 2024. I have a motion from Councilmember Moreno, second from Councilmember Stang. Any discussion on the minutes? Please cast your votes. Any assistance? It's okay.
I voted.
Just want to make sure I know you're new to it, so I don't want to leave you hanging there. Okay.
Yeah.
You did. Mhm. No rush. You get logged back in. And get some technical assistance. Yeah. Usually it just takes someone else looking at it, right? You know? All right, that motion is approved unanimously. Next, we have the consent agenda. Authorized disbursements that have been or will be made from April 15th, 2024 to April 30th, 2024 in the amount of $666,867.37, further referenced and attached transfer of funds. I have a motion from Councilmember Stang and a second from Councilmember Camacho. Any questions or discussion on the consent agenda? Seeing none, let's vote. That motion is approved unanimously. Next, we have resolution 14 of 2024. A resolution of the City Council of the City of Sheridan, Colorado, approving an amended and restated intergovernmental agreement between the City of Sheridan and the City of Englewood for the provision of Sustainability Coordinator Program Management Services. I have a motion from Councilmember Kelly and a second by Councilmember Moreno. Any discussion on resolution 14? Please cast your votes. That motion is approved unanimously. Next, we have Mayor's Choice. Happy to say we're done with the state legislative session. That was grueling again, and they certainly passed some things that maybe we don't totally agree with. So we'll see what happens there. And I'm hoping we can get a little readout maybe on where some of that legislation leaves Sheridan and what the impacts would be going forward.
And Mayor, I forgot to mention that as part of my update. That's on my
Yeah.
to-do list. So we'll be getting some summaries that'll be coming out from CML and
Yeah.
other places, Dr. Cog and things like
Mhm.
that. So we'll try and schedule some work session time to kind of go over it, to spend a little bit of time saying, okay, here's some of the impacts we might see.
Great, thank you.
Mhm.
And I don't want to steal anyone's thunder if they're also going to talk about it, but I just want to say there was a great Earth Day celebration. So I'll leave the council members who planned that to talk about the details, but I had a good time. So despite it being pretty windy, that was the only drawback, a little bit windy that day. Someone's tent bit the dust. But yeah, but it was a good time. That's all I have. So I'll turn it over to council members' choice. Anybody have an update? Yeah, you ready?
Yeah, I do. I gave Jenna and Regan a bunch of photos that Amy had taken from our
I figured you'd have something. You're always ready.
yeah, the pictures just came out so good. Amy did a great job. I have a couple in here too, but what I wanted to do was kind of represent how much extra activity we had at this event, which I think made it really great. And thank Sheridan or South Suburban Parks, Sheridan Inspire, Sheridan Rising Together for Equity, Compost Colorado, South Platte Park, Arapahoe County Master Gardeners, Groundwork Denver, and El Dorado Water, and everyone that came. Our sustainability coordinator was there too, and it was neat to see the staff members that came out for it. Let's go to the next slide. The kids were very involved. I really enjoyed seeing this art project exhibit, and they jumped right in. It was just really neat to see what they came up with. Let's go to the next slide. And the next slide. There's our sustainability coordinator educating people, correct? And that was something I think one of the kids made, right?
Nice.
Let's keep going through here. Groundwork was there displaying how to use their rain water barrels. And it's the best thing. I really appreciate my rain barrels, and it's neat to be able to legally capture rain and use it to water the gardens. The juggle zone was super cool, teaching kids how to juggle, and I just thought it was really neat to see how that pulled people in and got them, taking part in what was going on. Kids really seemed to like it, and adults the same. So this was the first tree, and it was just so great to see neighbors that I hadn't seen at last year's Park Palooza, and their kids like jumping in and taking part in it and really having a good time. There was one lady that brought 3 kids, and they all had their little overalls on, and they were so happy to be taking part in this. It was just really neat. I think that's from the art area. There's one of them, just cutie patooties,
Yes.
jumping in, getting dirty. And it was just amazing to see that and to see them really enthusiastic about learning how to plant trees and be involved in making things better for our community. I know, it really was very cute.
The kids standing.
The pictures almost
shovel.
don't
I
do
love the
justice.
ones
It was just
jumping on the shovel, you know.
Yep. Yep.
Mm.
That was our forester guy from South Suburban Parks and Rec, and he had his he had his work cut out for him. It was really neat to put him to work, but also to help him, because there were quite a few trees that we got done. I think this is one that Michael, you were working on this tree, right? I think so. It was great to have my partner Victoria there, and she dug her own tree. I was looking around, she was like, so we got to get going. We only have one tree and it's been an hour and a half. And we had 4 more. So she tackled one of her own. And it was great to see her working like that. So then here we've got our master gardener with the blue hat on. And Jean was just such a great help with this. She pulled together, so many different people and really made it a success. I really enjoyed working with Jean on this. And I think the other gal next to me is a master gardener too. But it was just really fun to get together and all of us do this together.
Mhm. Well.
Anyways, thanks a lot for everybody that took part in it and participated. It was great.
Thanks for bringing pictures. It's always fun.
Yeah. I wish Amy was here. Thank you.
Yeah, I was glad she was
Devin,
there to get.
let her know that I. Okay, good.
Okay.
Yeah, she did a great job.
Mhm. You have anything to add, Councilmember Moreno? No?
Just think it was a great event, and it was good to see the community just coming together and
Mhm.
participating and having a good time. So
Great.
I definitely have to make it next time. I was celebrating my birthday, so I was unable to make it this time, and my girl had like this whole day planned out with all kinds of stuff. I can't even tell you guys what it was about. It won't be appropriate, but yeah, the whole entire day was planned out. Like it was a Star
her
Wars
busy, huh?
thing. It was a Star Wars thing that they had, and I don't know if anybody, some people might know what I'm talking about, but it was a Star Wars event. Yeah. Anyway, okay. Next
Good.
time I want to be there though.
Okay. Anybody else have anything for council members' choice? No? Okay, then we'll have time for public comment if there's anybody present who would like to speak to council tonight. No? Okay. Then we will adjourn this meeting at 7:20 and move into our Sheridan Redevelopment Agency meeting. So I'll call to order the Sheridan Redevelopment Agency meeting for May 13th, 2024. The time is 7:20 p.m. Can we have roll call, please? I already did mine. I checked in, but it's not doing anything.
Popping up on your screen yet.
Nope. Everybody's absent on my, everybody's absent on my screen.
They're not showing on your screen?
No, should I hit the reset button?
Maybe. I'm like, they're all showing present on my screen.
Everybody's absent here.
I was hoping with all these updates, it would all be working.
I know, yeah.
I was able to jump right from council meeting into SRA.
Yeah,
without
that was.
you all out, which was nice, but maybe that's why you're not all showing.
Do you want me to just go out or will I shut everybody out anyway if I do that?
No, if you log out and log back in,
Okay,
it should be
let me
fine.
close out and come back. Right. Mhm. I don't know what, I guess everyone's here, but it doesn't have like the current item. Should I?
Oh,
just-
because I haven't started that part yet. The minutes? If I hit discuss now, do you see it?
Okay, yeah, okay, I guess I'm good then. I guess we've got everybody present. So we'll move on to the approval of the minutes. And I have a motion from Board Member Kelly and a second from Board Member Whitaker. Any discussion on the minutes? Please cast your votes. That motion is approved unanimously. Next, we have a public hearing for the amended 2023 budget. I'll recess the regular meeting at 7:23 PM to enter into a public hearing to gather citizen input on the proposed amendment to the 2023 budget. I'll enter the following exhibit into the record. Exhibit A, proof of publication in the Englewood Herald on Thursday, May 2nd, 2024. And opening remarks will be given by our city manager.
Thank you, Mayor. This is again, an amendment to our 2023 budget for the Sheridan Redevelopment Agency with the results from additional revenues being collected, which need to be reflected in the final budget document. And that's why we're requesting that the board approve the amendment to this budget. And happy to answer any questions, Mayor.
Thank you. Are there any comments from citizens or interested parties about this amended budget? Seeing none, we'll move along to any comments from staff or council about this budget.
No other comments this time, Mayor.
Okay. Any questions by members of the board? No. Okay, then we'll close the public hearing at 7:24 PM. Return to our regular meeting where we have resolution number 1 of 2024, a resolution of the Sheridan Redevelopment Agency amending the budget for the fiscal year of 2023 and appropriating sums for defraying expenses and liabilities for the fiscal year beginning January 1, 2023 and ending December 31, 2023, in accordance with the statutes of the state of Colorado. I have a motion from Board Member Whitaker and a second from Board Member Stang. Any further discussion or questions on resolution 1? Please cast your votes. That motion is approved unanimously. So we will adjourn our meeting at 7:25 PM. Thanks for being here, everyone. Appreciate it. Yes.